Hold up, hold up. Yeah. Hold up, hey, woman.
Hold on. Let me finish my point, you jerk.
You don't call your dad a jerk.
Well, you're being a jerk.
We just had one of our guests on, Jason Fry, talking about the Celtics are going to win their 19th championship. So what have you got to say about that?
Who this Jason Fry character is, he was talking about doing hard shit. Well, his prediction is bullshit. Okay. All right. I have a feeling we're about to be joined by Sir George. He normally comes out of the black hole. Oh, there he is. Sir George. He is
it's
back.
Hey, what's up? You know,
Well, I just want to say,
Hey, Hey, Jerry. Hey, Jerry. I just saw Jerry joke. Hey, Jerry. You said, well, this ain't your number one. Your number one, Jerry. Number one.
Oh, my God. We're moving on. We've killed the Cowboys. Matter of fact, get out. I'm tired of talking to you. Give me freaking JJ. Bring JJ on the show. Holy crap. Let's hear his opinion about this damn trade and why they made this decision. I think you're trying to cover your own ass right now and just not admit you were wrong.
In the country.
I think you're just trying to cover your ass right now. And
you know what? I got a big ass, so
that's a lot of
cover. A lot of cover. It take a blanket, damn it.
More like a drape.
Did you just pull a drape? Is that so I can open it up when I need to go? You know,
hey, you're getting too deep into this.
Rivalries make sports great, but they got to be on the same level. And I'm sorry, Angel Reese ain't on the level of Caitlin Clark. Like, it's not Magic Bird. If you don't want to commit to it, take your ass and be a PE All-Star.
First off, you need to get your facts effing straight.
How do you like me now? What? You're the coach. Shut up, dude. All you haters, shut the hell up. Just shut the hell up.
Whoa.
I won 5 Super Bowls, damn it. How dare you call the Cowboys a shit team? Watch the Cowboys. It'll be fun, they said. Bloody fucking hell, it was no fun.
It was like riding a train around one of the Kardashians' asses, and you just disappear into this abyss of ice. Somehow he talked about buttholes that made me hungry for a PBJ sandwich. It's 35-7, and it's only 7 because you just scored. Shut up.
Are you telling me coaches like Coach Popovich does plays in spaghetti noodles?
The thing about Coach Popovich is he actually liked to use popcorn with super glue.
Popcorn with super glue?
Yeah, he would put super glue little magnets on the bottom, and then he would arrange them on the board, and he would like color them different colors, and that would signify the opponents. And yeah.
Are those the players?
I don't want to give away any industry secrets on that particular thing, but yeah, I'm just gonna say you gotta. Yeah, I don't really know what I'm saying no more.
And they're playing with sticks, and they're playing with a little puck all the time.
Expert analysis right there. They play with sticks and pucks.
Trying to grow the game, man. Global game.
These people, they don't give a damn.
Well, I don't really know, but it drives me nuts. You're almost going to laugh. I can see it. Almost fixing to lose it. It drives me nuts.
Oh, man.
Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody!
Oh, guess who's back? Tell a friend. The remix is back. Oh, yes, ladies and gentlemen. I am finally back on the show. The old man doesn't have to do it by himself. I am Casey, the remix schedule. He is.
4 times in a row.
Yeah,
It was only supposed to be like 2.
you knew I was going to be gone for 4 weeks. But anyways, back from my honeymoon. You'll get some stories tonight from the first part of the honeymoon. And then the second part, we're going to have Sir George next week for the second part because I did visit London. So, but yeah, a lot of stuff going on right now. Actually, it doesn't feel like a lot when you start putting it on paper. But we did have the NBA draft last night as far as the first round, second round going on right now. Looks like Minnesota's on the clock right now. We got trades galore so far in the NBA offseason. We're going to talk about those. Dallas Stars made a move today, and they finalized their last 2 candidates for their head coaching search. A little bit of NFL as well. There's always a little bit of NFL. And I've been gone, so the old man's going to fill me in on the baby mama drama, essentially, that's been going on in the WNBA. And did I hear right when we were pre-gaming, you watched your first WNBA game?
Sophie Cunningham, man. She is America's new sweetheart.
So
she is the enforcer, and she has got me interested.
Has there not been a sexier enforcer in the history of, like, she is gorgeous. Like,
well,
wow.
A couple of the Avengers girls were pretty decent looking, but as far as an enforcer in real sports, it's going to be hard to find one. And she is the WNBA needed it. Well, we'll get into that later. We got a joke to tell, don't we?
We all have. You been starting the show with a joke when you're by?
I sure was.
Okay, I just want to make sure you're keeping up our high standards around here. And
you know why you should never date a tennis player?
Because they'll rack your balls?
No.
Okay.
Because love means nothing to them.
Solid, I guess. All right, moving on. All right. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention in the pregame rundown. We also got the U.S. Open to talk about a little bit. It was a couple weeks ago, playing a little bit of catch up. But folks, June, July is always when the finals end in the NHL and the NBA. You know, I'm assuming next week we're going to dive a little deeper into Major League Baseball because that's about all we're going to have. I know the Rangers are floating around 500. We'll probably get.
How about those Astros or somebody to talk about right now because they kind of just floated to the top.
Yeah, that's what they did last year. So we'll probably get into some Major League Baseball next week. A little deeper. I'm sure our Philly show will enjoy that. They're the resident baseball experts on the network. Man, we are growing at such a rapid pace. I'm having a hard time keeping up with everyone. We've added 2 new shows, and then 1 more show is going to be starting in August. We can't say the name. We kind of talked about it a little bit on our network show last night. We got Crew Talk, and then you got the Mac Truck podcast. She just came on. She's awesome. She's on during the day, so if you're at work, I think she's on a couple times a week, maybe Tuesday, Thursday, I think
so.
And so if you need an afternoon listen, Mac is a really good listen there. And so yeah, and so network's growing. I love it. All right, the NBA draft. The Mavericks take Cooper Flag, number 1. No surprise there. Were you surprised that Nico Harrison didn't F it up?
He's going to look good playing in Vegas. Oh, wait. Did I say that out loud?
Why you got to wish that evil on me, Ricky Bobby?
I am here to beat you, Ricky Bobby. And let me tell you right now, the Mavericks, they will be going to Las Vegas in the next couple of years.
We'll see. I mean, I said the other day, or actually I said last night, because Trillo last night, or Dom was like, "Are you at least happy as a Mavericks fan? You know, obviously you went through the Luka thing, but you got Cooper Flag. Are you at least happy?" And I was like, I'm not going to be happy till I'm for sure Dallas is staying in Dallas and Nico Harrison no longer is the GM, because he got ridiculously lucky with with the number one pick. You know, we talked before I left for the wedding and honeymoon, like the conspiracy theories and those type of things. How many times teams have traded their number one guy and then somehow got the number one pick. So it's just happened too many times to be a coincidence. But the Mavericks get Cooper Flag. I think he is I think he's going to be a hell of a player in the league. I really do. I think he's a special kid.
Yep, coming from Duke. It's 19.2 points, averaging a game, 7.5 rebounds, 4.2 assists during his freshman year at Duke. So what he came out, what was he? Junior? Right?
Well, he reclassed. He classed up.
Oh, okay.
So he came out when he was 17 years old. So he should be going into his freshman year of college this year, traditionally. So he is extremely young. He's 2 weeks older than LeBron James was coming out of high school. That's
18.
Yeah, he doesn't turn 19 until December. So the kid is young. He's good. And you know what's crazy? He's the number one pick, and I coach kids the same age right now in high school. Like it's insane to me the level of talent he has. And the Mavericks got it right. They did the right thing. And I think if this works out, you know, I got to be honest, Nico may survive the tsunami that was Fire Nico, because if you look at the roster, and I said this last night, and it's a if, because you got to talk about health. If the Mavericks are healthy, that team can get to the second, third round of the playoffs. But that's if.
All right.
If.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think they're going to have a little competition because there's, I think, with Dylan paired up with Victor and Spurs are going to have something to say. And there's a trade to the Rockets, the other team in Texas, that was kind of notable. So there's going to be some stuff going on in Texas. I think you're going to have three good teams again.
I think the Spurs are a playing team. I think they're a year or two away, but they are. I'm glad you brought them up. They are building something really nice down there in San Antonio. Like, that's undeniable with Castle, Wemby, De'Aaron Fox. Now they draft the kid out of Rutgers, the point guard. You know, I don't know what that does for De'Aaron Fox moving forward. I think that nixes any plan to bring back Chris Paul. I actually think Chris Paul in Dallas might be a real reality since Kyrie is hurt until about February.
How old was Chris Paul?
He's the same age as LeBron. I mean, he's pushing 40. I mean,
he seems like he's older.
Serviceable. But yeah, it's one of those things that the San Antonio Spurs are building something nice down there, and I got to give them credit where credit is due. If Wemby can stay healthy, they can. I think they're a 7, 8, 9, 10 team next year. But they have a young core. If they let it grow, like I thought the Rockets should have did, I think the Spurs can have a run of 8, 9, 10, if not more years of high level basketball. But the problem is you get like the Rockets did, and you get a certain level of success, and then you don't want to let that young core grow together, and you make a stupid trade for a Kevin Durant. I think it was a dumb trade for the Rockets.
Yeah. Or, well, you say it's a dumb trade, but we're just going to have to see how it plays out. Some other players, if we go back to the Butler trade during the season, we all thought that was stupid and it wasn't going to be a good deal, but it actually really helped out with the Golden State Warriors. So we'll have to see. And by the way, Chris Paul is 40 years old. I just looked it up.
I did say the same age as LeBron, so I was right.
Yeah, and he says the rumor is he wants to play in LA, but so he can retire there because that's where his family is. But we'll see what happens. Second round is starting off in the NBA. So we'll kind of keep an eye on that as it goes. But yeah, I think we're gonna have to see what happens with Houston and how this plays out. Obviously, Houston did well. But you never know.
This is why I think it's a bad trade. Jalen Green is 22, 23 years old. Kevin Durant is 36. And Jalen Green was giving you 21 a night, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Kevin Durant was only giving you 26, so only 5 points more a game. And I think Jalen Green's ascension would make up a little bit of that gap. It's the world we live in today. We want to jump for instant success. But if you look at the teams that were in the finals, those teams let things grow for a few years. If you look at the ascension of OKC, 2 years ago, I think they made the playoffs, bounced in the first round. Last year, they lose in the Western Conference Finals to Dallas. This year, they win the finals. Indiana has been bounced out of the playoffs year after year, and they've let that grow. The Knicks making it to the Eastern Conference Finals, they signed guys in free agency, made a couple trades, not for big name guys, but they've overall let that grow organically. I think there's something to be said of you need to let it grow organically and not search for that higher gun. And Kevin Durant has proven he's a franchise disruptor. There's only been one franchise he's gone to in a sign and trade, or it was a free agent signing. That was Golden State. And Golden State had just had the greatest regular season we had ever seen in the NBA and lost in the finals.
Mm-hmm.
So he was, an added gun where he didn't have to be a guy or a culture guy or a leader. We all know Kevin Durant doesn't want to be a leader. He goes to Brooklyn, fucks it up. Goes to Phoenix, fucks it up. He's going to go to Houston, and he's going to jack up this young core that they have, and they're not going to win a championship. I think you gave up a young asset for an aging asset, which is asset, I should say. And I don't.
Yeah, I can't totally disagree with you, but also think that Kevin Durant coming back to basically his home state in Texas.
Well, he's from Canada.
And
he's Canadian. He's from Canada.
Well, played for the University of Texas
for 4 months. Let's not act like he was a born and bred Longhorn.
Oh, okay. Yes, I agree with that, but I think we're going to have to see. I think, you're talking about that, but to me, the thing that got me was the Celtics trade for Holiday.
Oh, the Holiday? Because they made two. What got you about that?
Huh?
What confused you about that? I actually think that trade is a brilliant trade for the Celtics.
You did. Well, tell me why you think it's a brilliant trade, because I do not.
I'm sure you're looking up Drew Holiday right now. So isn't he like 34 years old? I think he's 34. So
Drew Holiday, I'll have to look it up. I can
I'm
look
almost
it up.
positive he's 34. Drew Holiday, great role player, good defender, diminishing skills, not going to give you an over amount of points. Anthony Simmons, if you look into him, he averaged 19 a game. The Celtics need that third scorer. Derek White is a nice role piece. He's a good piece, but he is not he's not that guy. I would say Anthony Simmons gives them another scoring punch, especially to stem the tide until Tatum comes back. So same thing. I like trading an older asset for a younger asset, and you get cheaper as well when it comes to the financial obligation if you're Boston, because you've been a luxury tax team with the amount of salary they've been talking or been dealing with Holiday, Porzingis, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. So I think it's a great trade. I think Brad Stevens made another brilliant move there with moving off Drew Holiday.
Yeah, I don't know how much I agree with that. I thought Holiday was more of a mainstay with the Celtics. I thought he was, someone that they could look to for that leadership role. So we'll just have to see. It's some of these trades we're seeing. There's still obviously some things to happen. But I'm still interested to see, because I still think there's going to be some changes in LA, and we're going to see what's going to happen with Luka, what's going to happen with LeBron and his crying ass, which I talked about last week, about why are people so worried about us winning rings? Because you play the game to win, stupid.
Yeah, I'll talk about it in a second. I think my former player commenting right here, Daniel Cowan, we actually say he's my long lost love child from many years ago because he looks oddly like a potential son of mine. I think he was talking about Chris Paul going to LA, wanting to retire together.
Yeah.
Jeremy
Drew Holiday is 35, by the way.
Oh, so 35. So that even makes my argument a little better. Before I moved to Los Angeles, let's talk about the other trade the Celtics made, Porzingis to Atlanta. I think Porzingis is washed. He's dealing with some sort of illness that is chronic. I think it's smart for Boston to move off him. When he was on the floor, he was a somewhat of a difference maker. But he's long past his prime. I think Brad Stevens is probably the best GM in the NBA, in my personal opinion. And he's and I think that's another really good move by him to move off an aging asset, a big guy who has a chronic illness, and sold it to Atlanta, saying, "Hey, this could be Trae Young's running mate." And I think they sold some snake oil to the Atlanta Hawks right there.
I mean, I haven't looked at that one closely, but the fact that the thing about him having an illness and stuff, that's just weird to me.
They won't say what it is, but it's been affecting him since like January or February, and there's rumors saying it might be. I don't even want to speculate because I don't want to put anything out there. So if you want to find out rumors, you can Google rumors on Kristaps Porzingis' illness. But to get to your LA point, Austin Reeves rejected an extension today for over $88 million, I think is what it was for. I think 3 or 4 years for $88 million or $84 million, somewhere around there. Thought that was pretty interesting. Do I think there's changes? I heard rumors of Jackson Hayes, the center from Cleveland, getting traded there or moved there. I don't know if that actually happened. I just kind of briefly saw something before we came on air. That would be a big pickup for them because they need athletic big men in the middle to play with Luka and LeBron. I still don't think they have a championship roster. I don't think they're a contender. Now, the scary thing is, it does sound like Luka is starting to take his body and his diet serious, which I said when the trade happened, that might be something that is the best thing for Luka's career in the long run, is him going to a place and playing with LeBron James, not to win, not to become this super team, but learn how to be a true professional and how to take care of your body and how to, do it the right way. I think LeBron spends over $1 million a year on keeping himself in shape. And everyone on this network, everyone who watches this, and I'm the number one LeBron hater on the network. I can't stand the dude, but I do give credit where credit is due. The man has kept his body throughout his career in impeccable shape. And, being the same age as him, I'm a little bit jealous. It makes me pissed off even more, to be honest. It makes me like him not even more. But you said he was crying. What was he crying about?
His statement was that why are people so focused on players getting rings?
Well, isn't that the pot calling the kettle black?
They say, well, that's the problem, right? And I talked about this because I seem to remember that a certain player put us all through the decision. I talked about this when I ranted last week about this, the decision, because he wanted to get a ring and went to play with some certain players, and like Wade, Chris Bosh, and all that stuff in Miami. And so it's typical LeBron. He opens his mouth and shit starts pouring out of it. And it's just, this is why I said he will never be the GOAT. He will never be as good as Jordan. To me, he's not even as good as Jabbar was. And the reason I say that, because they played the game and you didn't hear this kind of stupid crap out of their mouth. You would never question that Michael Jordan was about winning a championship, ever. Even when he went to play baseball, he couldn't stand the fact that he couldn't be good as he was in basketball there, and left it and came back to basketball. And by the way, won another championship. 3 after that. So it's typical. It's why LeBron will never be looked at on that mountain, to me, of where Jordan, Kareem, Magic, Larry Bird, all those people are. Because there was never a question what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm gonna hop on here and I'll address what Sean's talking about here at the end. For you to be if you didn't want to chase rings, you should have pursued one in Cleveland. And I've always said this, and you've heard me make this argument just between me and you because you're a Spurs fan. Obviously, Duncan won 5, Dirk won 1, right? I've always said, to me, that one that Dirk won after all those years was worth the 5 you got to experience, which, I mean, Duncan stayed in San Antonio, so it's pretty much the same thing. I think Dirk's 1 is worth all of LeBron's 4, to be honest. He helped invent this culture of super teaming up to go get rings. He is the inspiration of Kevin Durant going to Golden State. So it is hypocritical. It is diary of the mouth, as you said. And it's, hey, LeBron, STFU, dude. Like, shut the fuck up. Like I can't stand the dude when he talks. I respect him as his place in the game. You mentioned Jabbar and Jordan. I actually put Jordan Kobe over him.
Yeah, Kobe definitely is over him.
And so
there was
just,
never
but
a question about Kobe's work ethic.
Well, if it's not about rings, which Kobe was about rings, if it's not about rings, then John Stockton is probably greater than LeBron James. Because John Stockton has 2 stats that'll never be broken, and that's assists and steals, right? And the number of games played, and you know, it's there's a if you want to be considered one of the greats in that conversation, like no one says, you know, Charles Barkley or Patrick Ewing wasn't a great player, but they're not on the GOAT list because they didn't win championships, right? They were denied by Jordan in that pursuit. If you want to be the top dog, the number one, you gotta equal or at least come close to equaling what the guys at the top of the list did. You don't have more rings than Kobe. I think Kobe was 5-2 in finals, something of that nature. And Jordan is obviously 6-0. I don't know what Jabbar was, but I mean, you know, Bill Russell was 9-0, I do believe, or something crazy like that. So, but no one considers Bill Russell the greatest player of all time, even though he has the most championships. So it's a mixture of championships and being great within the game. LeBron is great within the game. He has some championships, but he also has the most wins or most losses in finals history. He's been swept 2 times in the finals. You know, he's got some scars on that record, but he's a great player. He's not the GOAT. I respect what he's done. I don't like the dude. But just stop whining. Like, stop worrying. If you never hear Jordan saying, "Oh, I can't believe they said that," or "I can't believe this," or you never heard Kobe complaining about that shit. They were secure with their spot. Jordan and Kobe and all these great players live rent-free in LeBron James's mind. They live rent-free because he knows he's insecure with his own legacy within the sport of basketball, which he shouldn't be. He's accomplished a lot of great things. But shut up. Like, just be quiet.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like I was looking for the stories, but you know, the NBA it still has issues, and not just because it's bleeding. Yeah, we had that up there before.
Well, I forgot to address it. LeBron, if you don't know, he was talking about walking off to get ready for the next game or something BS like that. It was stupid. Like, y'all have the greatest sports recovery and sports science in the history of athletics right now, and like these dudes want to walk off or say I can't play back-to-backs or I can't do this when we're supposed to be more advanced than what we did, you know, 20, 30 years ago when guys were playing 82 games all the damn time. But anyways, continue.
So what I was talking about was how, where was it? Last night there were quite a few, I guess, I don't know how many there were, but I know I saw a couple. Was it maybe it was the Raptors pick? I'm not sure. I'm not going to say the name, but because I don't want to get it wrong and pick on somebody who doesn't deserve to be picked on. But there were players you could literally see them mouth, "Oh, fuck, I can't believe I got picked by this team." And there was another one like just shaking his head like, "I didn't want to go to this team." And I mean, it wasn't subtle. It literally was the one player looked over as soon as he heard his name and just went, rolled his eyes, and went, fuck. And once again, this shows, well, here comes some more crybabies. Here comes some more prima donnas. And it's a problem with the NBA. And it still is. Because first off, they need to retire LeBron and get him the hell away from the NBA. Obviously, he won't, I can't see him being an announcer because he will be terrible at it because he can't even talk. And then, but they need to get him away from being the person that's the face of the NBA. And they need to get some of these players that people can actually respect because of work ethic and everything. And the problem is, I'm not sure who that's going to be. Because you could say, okay, Luka's one of them. Well, no, Luka is a crybaby too. Luka is a flopper and a crier too. Now, he doesn't say it to the press and all that junk, but he does it on the court because that's what they've been taught. You've talked about that before. They're being taught flop, 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 and more fucking flop. And so it's turned into a bunch of crybabies. It's turned into a league of you touch me, and it's to me it's you might as well watch WWE wrestling because it's the same bullshit because you've got a bunch of actors out there who aren't obviously one of their number one names in the game. LeBron doesn't even give a shit if he's winning or not. He doesn't understand why everybody's focused on that. How the F do you get, because from the time he was in high school, he was already on ESPN. He was anointed the coming, the king. And he has never, ever, in my mind, lived up to that shit. And it should have never been done until he actually earned something. Rant over.
All right. I love how the 90% of that was not about LeBron, then you bring it back to LeBron. Guess my hate of LeBron's wearing off on you. So it's the entitlement culture, right? These kids, you go back to AAU, like if they don't like their situation, they go to another team. They don't like the coach, they just switch AAU teams. We see it in high school. Kids will move high schools. They won't say it's for athletic purposes here in Texas. They'll say academic opportunity or some bullshit, or they'll claim racism or they'll claim something else to where the school district they left doesn't want to fight it because they'll look bad. And ultimately, they're really switching to play with certain guys, to play with a quarterback, to play with a point guard, to play with a big man, to play with a star pitcher, whatever. It happens in every sport and all across because they want to be part of a better situation. They don't want to grind it out. They don't want to take on the challenge of being part of either building a program or keeping the standard or changing the culture after a bad couple classes or something of that nature. And then these guys get courted and paid by dozens of colleges. They get recruited and then they get paid by the college they choose through NIL. And then for the first time in their lives, they don't get to pick where they go. And that's what you saw in the draft. What you're referencing is, I don't want to go there. To me, if I saw that, I would look at trading the guy instantly because you obviously don't want to be a part of what we need to do to change around here. I do think there is something about certain organizations that they don't, at this point, have figured out. They don't have a winning culture. They don't have a winning system. I think there's 7 or 8 teams in the NBA that have never won an NBA championship. You know, I can kind of understand. You know, Kobe didn't want to go to Charlotte because Charlotte wasn't about winning. You know, he goes to Los Angeles and they're about winning championships. You know, I can understand not wanting to go to Washington or, but you have a kid like Jared Cunningham in Detroit. He didn't cry about going to Detroit, and they've turned Detroit was a laughing stock for about a decade, and they've gone through their bumps and bruises up there, and now they're getting better.
Well, now I know which player it was that did that. It was Colin Boyles for Toronto's the number 9 pick out of South Carolina.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's an entitlement culture, and it's only going to get worse because I mean we're enabling 18 to 20-year-old these college kids to, you know, I mean, I think I saw a video of, what was it, Texas Tech or someone like turn their football field into a car parking lot and said, if you come here, pick your car. Like, it just stupid shit. I know UT's done. I'm sure everyone's done it, but you have an entitlement culture with the youth, and you know, it's just, and it translates into, you know, watching SGA. It's terrible basketball to watch. I said this last night. Even though I was overseas for 2 weeks and that was the majority of the finals, like I had no desire to even check up on it because I wasn't really interested, because I know the style of basketball that the Oklahoma City Thunder play. It's fouling 100 times and they're only going to call 20 of them. SGA's a flapper. He has no bag. He creates separation with his shoulders and his arms and push-offs. And, you know, Halliburton has a little bit of game, but the other side, there was just nothing sexy about it. You know, there's no pizzazz in this finals. It had nothing to do with the market. It has to do with the players. And those players, you had the MVP of the league, and you had 6 of the lowest rated games in NBA finals history. So, you know, we'll see where the league goes. You talk about work ethic and guys that take the mantle. I'm gonna go back to what we started with. Cooper Flagg. That's all I've heard about. Like, his favorite quote is from his mom saying, "If you're the biggest dude in the gym you're working out with, you need to find a new gym." Like, that's his favorite quote from his mother. They say this dude is all about basketball. His work ethic is just different. Jay Billis, all the experts said he's about basketball and he works his tail off. And there's something different about him. And I'm really hoping that is he can take the mantle there to be one of the faces of the league. Because these guys, KD, LeBron, Steph Curry, you know, these faces of the last 10, 15 years, you know, eventually they are going to retire. Who's going to take those spots? You know, you thought it was going to be like a guy like Ja Morant. Well, Ja Morant keeps shooting himself in the foot. Pun intended, by the way, because he keeps getting in trouble for gun-related incidents. And so it's interesting to see where the league is going. But let's transition. You were talking a little bit about the WNBA. What the hell did I miss with the WNBA while I was gone?
Well, before we get into that, let's go ahead and get our commercial out there.
You said 30 minutes. We're at 45. So my bad. Go ahead.
Yes.
Ryan. Cheers.
So,
have you heard of the DISC communication tool? Yes, most people in business have. But there is a new tool out there that is tailored for leadership teams. It is called the DISC Work of Leaders and focuses on 3 main areas: vision, alignment, and execution. This amazing assessment is not just a game changer. It is a business strategy necessity if you want to create sustainability. Let's be honest, a lot of executives spend many hours in HR dealing with people issues, and that happens because of reactive leadership. If you are sitting in HR trying to figure out what happened after the fact, then you are not able to concentrate on running your department or business, and it steals your time. Email us or call. It's free to talk about it and learn how to become proactive in your leadership. Big or small, we have a plan to build on your strengths and an action plan for your challenges. Join Eddie Schedule, our CEO and founder, for a quick video on what a report does for you. Head over to our website and scroll down to see this amazing video of the Disc Work of Leaders tool. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to hearing from you.
All right. Thank you, Sharon. You know, guys, she does have a face, just so y'all know.
You remember this thing?
It's
That was
got
the
like
worst
little bear
Amazon
ears.
buy ever.
So no, I don't remember that thing. But back to
You don't
Easy
remember the
Leadership.
segment
Yeah,
we
please
did?
check them out. Go to the website easyleadership.com. And like I said, Sharon does have a face. Guys, don't be just looking at the bottom part of the video there. But the other thing too, before we get rolling again, is sponsors. We are really, really looking for sponsors. You know, like I said, it's where can you get 4 spots per month, 30 seconds for $30? That's all we'll charge you, and we'll help you make the ad. So please come join us. Sponsor, whether you're at home, local business, national business. We got all sorts of stuff for you. So please get a hold of us, DM one of us, and we will get back to you. So very cool.
You really don't remember this thing?
Nope.
We remember we did our worst Amazon buys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this was the neck roller thing. It looks like a Care Bear.
Yeah, I was fixing to say it looks like a Care Bear. I don't remember that thing, but yeah.
Oh man, because you did like you bought like a pallet or something, and it was like this big or something.
Oh yeah. It was a pallet, but it was more like a pallet, your tongue pallet, because that's about how big it was. So yeah.
Speaking of my tongue palate,
But all right.
This is delicious.
Okay, so you wanted me to talk a little bit about some of the stuff you missed here.
Yeah,
with
what is this?
WNBA.
What is this going on?
Well, what you missed is America has a new sweetheart, and her name is Sophie Cunningham. America also has a new enforcer, and her name is Sophie Cunningham. Well, during one of the Indiana Fever games, Caitlin once again was bruised up and pushed around, and the refs weren't doing anything about it. So Sophie had had enough. When Sheldon broke away, Sophie followed her down and literally did throw her to the floor. Because that's the one who poked Caitlin in the eye. And Sophie since then has said that, if the refs aren't going to do anything, I'm going to protect my teammate. That's my sister on the court, and I'm going to protect my teammate. And all of a sudden, we have a new sweetheart by the name of Sophie Cunningham, who probably before this happened, not many knew, but she has passed everybody in Instagram viewers, and X, and just followers, because she gave you someone, she stood up for a teammate, first of all. Second off, she's a beautiful girl. And she's not afraid to be feminine. That's what I like about her. Because, a lot of the WNBA, sometimes you're going, wow, I'm having a hard time deciding that that's a feminine person. But there's no doubt with Sophie. And she seems like she has fun and just and works her tail off and protecting her teammates. So
with all the other junk that we had going on with Caitlin and Angel Reese, it was funny because I don't know if you've seen it, but I talked about it last week. Some guy posted a thing of him trying to he bought the Angel Reese Wheaties and he was trying to get it in his cart, and every time he threw it toward his cart, it missed and he couldn't get it in there. So it was definitely mimicking Angel Reese, even though Angel Reese is actually over the past few games done well. But I'll tell you what this whole thing did was it got me interested in wanting to watch the game because I wanted to see how Sophie was going to handle these next few games. And Indiana, the thing about it is Indiana's not the greatest team in the WNBA. In fact, they're only at 500. I think they're 7-7 right now. They're nowhere near making the playoffs at this point. But what do we want in sports? We want drama. We want competition. We want rivals. And we want team sports. We want to see people take up for their team, be a team player, so to speak. And that's what Sophie is all about. And to me, this, along with Caitlin, this is what the WNBA needed. They needed someone like Sophie to come along, do this. And it is, to me, we talked about this last year when Caitlin came on the scene. Can they maintain? Because the newness of Caitlin Clark is going to start to wear off. But this put a whole new spin on it. And the fact that Sophie has got so many followers in such a short time, to me, they found another gem, so to speak, to keep the WNBA relevant. So relevant to me, I actually watched the game. And that's something I've never really done before. Watch the whole game. Not something I've done before. But so that's kind of what happened. But now, unfortunately, we're going to see how it goes because Caitlin is out now indefinitely. She got hurt last night with a groin injury. So groin injuries can be, can heal quickly or they can linger on for a long period of time. But I'm not sure how severe it was. So that's what you missed. To me, she is now the new American sweetheart and the sweetheart of the WNBA. And the rest of the girls, we're going to see how this goes because we know how it is. They get jealous of this crap. They get jealous.
Yeah, I don't know about if you're an enforcer. I don't know if you can be a America's sweetheart. That seems kind of an interesting dichotomy there. But I did know about Sophie Cunningham. Her TikToks always popped up on my feed. It is a positive that finally someone stepped up in that capacity. If you're those girls, I would be a little bit careful. I'm pretty sure that I saw she got her black belt in Taekwondo by the age of 6.
Girl played football. She was the kicker on her high school football team when their kicker got hurt, and she went out and kicked 2 field goals.
Okay, well, I feel like you're overblowing that.
There's a whole film on that thing.
I'm sure there is. I'm just saying it's like she kicked 2 field goals. She didn't go out there and play linebacker. But I'm happy for Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever that they have someone with a set of they have a pair that's willing to stand up for their teammate, for their girl, especially how Caitlin Clark was however you want to put it, initiated, bullied, hazed, whatever you want to say. And yeah, Sophie Cunningham, she obviously a gorgeous woman. And I think the looks part of this helps the story. in a way, gives it a certain level of sex appeal, and makes the palate of the male viewer a little easier to chew on, I guess. So um, it's one of those things where you know I'm happy for Caitlin Clark. She's got a teammate that has a sack now, essentially metaphorically, to defend her, because Caitlin Clark doesn't need to try to fight those battles all the time. You know, and we'll see what the fever turn into. I mean, I'll be honest. I don't necessarily. I guess you could say it hasn't piqued my interest into go watching. Now, if
When she
Sophie
went to
Cunningham
play,
wanted to
when
come
she
on
went,
the show, I would watch every single one of their games. But
when she went to play at LA, she wore this.
she's known for her fashion. She's very fashionable. It's how she expresses herself. I kind of saw a little mini thing on Sophie Cunningham. That's why I know a little bit about her. She's normally a pretty reserved person overall, except when her TikTok and her fashion is how she really outwardly expresses her, as you mentioned, her femininity. And so
Femininity. Femininity.
Yeah, she also has a rule about dating, that you have to be taller than her, and she is 6'1" without heels, so that eliminates most of the men on the planet. So good luck for those out there trying to get a date with Sophie Cunningham, because if you're not at least 6'3", 6'4", she ain't even gonna look your way. So
Man, that leaves me out. Damn it.
that leaves. Well, we're both married, so we're already out of that equation.
Yes, you are married now, aren't you?
I am. Got my ring right here with the whiskey wood in it. So whiskey barrel wood in it. So yeah. All right. Let's go to some smaller stories, and this will probably lead us towards the end. We may end a little before the hour and a half realm. Mavericks extend Daniel Gafford. I think that's a big signing for the Mavs. The Rockets extend Fred VanVleet. I think that's kind of expected by them. One story from the draft. I did not like Kneppel with the 4th pick for Charlotte. I think he's very limited laterally. He can shoot the hell out of the ball, but and he's 6'7", but I think he's a role player. He's a Kyle Korver type, but not as skinny. But our Dallas Stars made a signing today. Did you see that?
No, I did not. What did they do?
They re-signed the captain, Jamie Benn, back on a 1-year, $4 million deal. Very heavy incentive-based deal. He'll be back for his 17th year, I think is the number. I got to be honest. I think they should take the captaincy from him.
Yeah, I think
it's time.
He's obviously been a mainstay for the team, but the problem is he's slowed way down.
He's
just
not a
because
top-level guy. He's not a top level guy anymore. He's playing on your 4th line. Your captain can't be on your 4th line.
And he's just, he's been a mainstay, obviously, for 17 years, but I would go back to when Hitchcock was coaching this team. He didn't have a problem changing captains if you weren't performing up to the level, because I seem to remember Madonna losing his captaincy at some point.
Or Brendan Mora, I believe they gave it to.
So I think your captain needs to be the guy leading the team. And
based on the current team, who would you give it to?
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
asking you.
huh?
I'm asking you, based on the current team, who would you give it to? You give it to Miko?
I think that still needs to kind of play out a little bit because we saw different players. We didn't
Good.
see anybody dominate like you have teams like the Oilers, like McDavid. You know he's going to be a part of everything. He is definitely the captain. Um, but I don't think the Stars really had, except for a couple of games. Um, I don't know yet. I think it's too early for some of the folks that they brought in. I mean, I thought we were on the verge of, and his name is escaping me right now.
Well, that's a great sports take.
Huh?
That's a great sports take. I think it's if I mean you re-signed Rantanen for like an 8-year, $90-something million. I think Rantanen.
That's the name I was looking for.
I think it's either Rantanen or Miro Heiskanen are your captains. Heiskanen most of the time is the best player on the floor, even though he's a defenseman. I think those two are your top. A couple guys I think the Stars need to move. I think they need to move off of Robertson. I think they need to move off of Matt Duchene. To me, it's time to move on from them.
To move on from who?
Robertson and Matt Duchene.
Okay, I gotcha. Yeah, I think you got to look at Rantanen or even Seguin would be another one, even though he's been around for a while.
You mean Seguin?
Seguin, yeah, Seguin. I can't talk tonight.
What's in your cup?
And like you said, Robertson. But my problem with Robertson, he didn't show up till kind of toward the end of the series in that last series, and it was a little too late.
He was coming off a knee injury. He was their leading goal scorer last year, but to me, he's good at a lot of stuff. He's not a lead at anything. To me, he's a good second or third line player. He just doesn't have speed to blow by people, and maybe that's because he was injured. I just think the Stars should move off of. I think his trade value isn't going to get any better than it is right now. I will say I think it was a mistake firing Pete DeBoer, the head coach.
Yes.
I don't like that move. You've been in the Western Conference Finals 2 years in a row. You have lost to the Oilers 2 years in a row. You made the finals with Pete DeBoer. The man's undefeated in Game 7s. I think he's 8-0, 9-0 in Game 7. So when it gets there, his teams win.
Yeah.
I know they've finalized the last two candidates. I believe it is a guy named Gulutzan, who's the assistant for the Oilers. 53 years old. He debuted as an NFL head or NHL head coach. Actually, he's the head coach of the Stars in 2011. So they missed the playoffs for the 2 years he was there. The other one is gentleman Graham. He's 40 years old. He spent the past 5 seasons as the head coach of the AHL Texas Stars. So a guy within the system. I don't think either of those guys are upgrades from Pete DeBoer, to be honest. So I think when you make a head coaching change, you're looking to upgrade. And I think when you get one of those top guys, it's hard for you to upgrade.
I think it was a mistake too. I mean, because you're one series away from the Stanley Cup Finals 2 years in a row, and that shit's hard to do in hockey. Yeah. And as much as the Panthers and the Oilers are making it look easy, well, the Panthers are, because they obviously handed the Oilers their ass again, which really surprised me. That I thought the Oilers had a better team coming in this year,
I thought they were stronger. I thought they were faster. But unfortunately, the old Skinner showed up, and I talked about this last week. The old Skinner showed up toward the end of this, or the middle of the series.
Yeah.
And the name that was escaping me was Thomas Harley. I think he's one you look at for captain too, because even though the kid's only 23 years old, he plays his ass off as a defenseman.
Yeah,
And he
I like
reminds
Harley.
me.
I think Heiskanen is so much of a better player than Harley.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're going to go by that, then yes. But I think Harley kind of takes me back to the old Hatcher days of having that enforcer as a defenseman, but also can skate and get up there and score. So, yeah, we'll see. Um, it's interesting. And like I said, for as far as the Stanley Cup playoffs went, I was just extremely surprised that the Oilers got their asses handed to them basically 2 years in a row by the
Yeah.
same exact team. And unfortunately, I think Skinner, they're going to have to move on. I just don't think he has what it takes. And
Yeah.
as much as he kicked the Stars' ass by being right on toward the middle of the series in a Stanley Cup, the old Skinner, he would put, and the problem with him, the more I watch him, he gets himself way out of position. He'll try to make a great, physical save by getting out of the crease or whatever, but when he does that, it leaves too much open ice. It leaves too much open net, I should say, not open ice, but open net. And that he either needs to get out of that habit and learn to stay in the crease, or it's just unfortunately for the Oilers, as good as they are, which I still think that their team is better than the Panthers on most days, but their goalies there's no comparison.
Yeah. I mean,
I just think Skinner was the weak link for the Edmonton Oilers, and it was. You also saw, I think, a lot of it had to do with the fact that at some point, they felt it was going to be the same shit happening. So, and what are you giving me, the wind up? Hurry the hell up? Is that what you're
pretty
trying to
much.
say? I've been carrying this damn show for 4 freaking times in a row. Don't be
You act
giving me
like
the
I
wind
haven't
up.
done it on nights you couldn't show it. Don't even start that. It was supposed to be a quick story about the Stars, and here we are 7 minutes later talking about the Oilers goalies. I didn't mean for it to go there. I was trying to hit some small stories to start our way out. But
You should know your dad by now. I'm not small. So there you go.
You're the round mound of something. All right. Did you see the Jason Tucker story? He got suspended by the league, by the NFL.
Yes,
10
I
weeks
did.
for indecent issues.
So next thing you know, the Browns are going to give him a big contract.
They're going to trade 4 first-round picks for him, probably.
So this is a football baseball story, but did you see how the Toronto Blue Jays trolled Cleveland, the Browns?
Nah, I didn't see that.
Toronto was playing the Cleveland Guardians, another stupid ass name. And so the Guardians make an error. They try to throw a pickoff play from the pitcher, and he literally just totally misses him. Toronto instantly goes to X with their X account and said the search for quarterback in Cleveland continues.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
It was,
well played, Toronto.
Pretty good.
Not many good things come out of Canada, but that one's pretty good. Yeah. So you have that. I saw the Tampa Bay Buccaneers extended Todd Bowles and their GM Khan. Probably a good move by them. Just there's not a lot of stories in the NFL right now. We got training camp starting next month. I did see George Pickens got a little bit of heat for not showing up to football camp that he had committed to up in Pittsburgh when he was still in Pittsburgh. He was catching some heat from that. To me, that's a non-story. Like, he's not in the city. If you committed, you probably should go. But they did tell him over a week in advance that he wasn't going to make it. We probably should have told him a little sooner. They didn't give a reason why he didn't show up, so no one knows the legit reason.
The big story that you missed was, and I said this to me, I don't get it. I think it's dumb. Aaron Rodgers to the Steelers.
I think it's smart.
I don't. Okay, we can talk about this then, because Aaron Rodgers, the Aaron Rodgers that used to play in Green Bay, is no longer exists. The crime, whining, it's everybody else's fucking fault. Aaron Rodgers is what you're getting in Pittsburgh. That's what you got with the Jets. And I'm going to tell you right now, I think when he got that in, all the hype that they had in the Jets, man, the Jets are going to Super Bowl. And then the first damn game, he gets blown out, gets injured, and it's all gone. I don't think he's been the same since. And I don't think that's what you're getting in Steelers Nation. I think it's a stupid thing to bring him in. First off, they waited on him. Now, granted, do they have many other great options? No, but they're not going to win with him. First off, you just traded one of your best receivers to us. Thank you. We're glad you did that. It's a dumb trade. It is not this is an old, slow ass complaining. It's your damn fault. Do what the hell I want. Fucking Aaron Rodgers. It is not the Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay that beat us because Dez caught the fucking ball. It is not that same Aaron Rodgers.
All right, so number one, you need to get your facts effing straight.
Here we go. Get your facts effing straight.
I'm quoting you. Like, that's in our highlight reel at the beginning of the show. It wasn't a trade. It was a signing. They didn't trade for him. You just said it was a terrible trade.
Did I say trade?
Yes,
I meant signing.
Okay. I think it's smart because Pittsburgh didn't have any other options. They let Justin Fields go. Russell Wilson. Do I think Russell Wilson was probably better than Aaron Rodgers in this particular situation? Possibly. But they needed a stopgap quarterback. Rodgers needed a farewell tour. So and I don't know if you watched the Hard Knocks of the Jets when he got there, because I had a skewed view of Aaron Rodgers, honestly. And I thought he was a lot of the stuff that you just described. But when I saw him in the building with the Jets on Hard Knocks, my opinion of him changed a little bit. I mean, there is a little bit of I'm Aaron Rodgers arrogance, but there is a dude who he wants to win and he expects a certain level around him to win. And at the end of last year, those last 6 games for the Jets, he played at a very high level. Not the Aaron Rodgers of old, not the guy who beat us, as you said, not the MVP Aaron Rodgers, but a quarterback that can win games for you when having the right supporting cast around. I have no idea.
Supporting cast? That's my point. Who's the supporting cast?
Hold on, I'm getting there. I haven't kept up with the Steelers, so I don't know what they did with their running game. But they do have a number 1 wide receiver. His name is DK Metcalf. I would trade George Pickens in a heartbeat for DK Metcalf. And that's who he's throwing the ball to. I don't know.
Outside of that,
well, I'm fully admitting I don't know too much about the Steelers offseason because I've been gone and I haven't kept up with them. I don't remember exactly what they did in the draft. So, but I think the Steelers were in a position that they needed a guy for a year They don't expect too much out of him. I don't think they expect to win a ton of games. And he needed a farewell tour. So I think it was a good move for the Steelers because I think this is going to be the first Steelers losing season in a while. And I think they'll be in the market in the draft next year for a quarterback. So it's not your normal Pittsburgh Steelers contending year. Which if they had a better roster, I would agree with you and say it was a bad move. They don't have a great roster, especially on the offensive side. So I think it's a good move because they're not going to win a ton of games without him. They're not going to win a ton of games with him. It sells some more season tickets. And I don't think he's a bad locker room guy, after seeing that Hard Knocks and and I also think he's the type of dude who wants one more year in the sun and then he's going to disappear. I don't think you're going to see him in the media. I don't think you're going to see him trying to be an announcer. I think he's going to disappear and just go live his life, which is what he probably wanted to do, but he wanted to make, and it was a team friendly deal. It wasn't it like 16, 17 million or something like that. It wasn't like a ton of money.
It wasn't a lot, but I think they would have been better off looking at some younger. Huh?
You think they would have been better off with Mason Rudolph? I mean, they put themselves in the position that they had to sign him when they had options. Do I think there was better options? Yes, I do, but I don't think it's necessarily the worst move in the world for him. I just don't. But so Pittsburgh.
I think they could have done something different. Obviously, I think if they had taken that first pick instead of picking the defensive, who did they pick? They picked Derek Harmon out of Oregon, defensive tackle. Instead of doing that, I think you
picked Shador.
Should have taken Sanders. Yes.
No, come on now. We've been through that. Shador was not a first 3-round talent.
But here's the thing, though. It's what you need, and if there's value.
There's no value picking that high with him there. Now, you can make the argument you could have picked him in the first 4 rounds and had an option. I don't disagree there. But anyways, let's kind of get to our last 2 segments here. U.S. Open, you said you didn't really talk about. JJ Spawn wins the U.S. Open in golf. He wins his first major. Looked like a tough tournament. I didn't get to watch any of it being overseas. But he won at 1 under, which is what a U.S. Open is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be challenging. It's supposed to frustrate you. It's not supposed to be a ton of scoring. It's kind of survival of the fittest. He won by 2 strokes over Robert McIntyre, Victor Hovland, Cam Young, Tyrell Hatton, the Irishman, and then Scotty Scheffler was +4, John Rahm was +4, and Alexander Schauffele was +6. So it looked like a pretty tough tournament. I think they played at Oakmont. I think is at Oakmont. Hopefully one day I'll get to play some of these sweet courses. But yeah, U.S. Open looked pretty tough. Did you catch any of it or?
No.
I normally watch the whole thing, but I was off gandering. But before we get the first part of the honeymoon stories, whiskey of the week. Whiskey of the week, ladies and gentlemen. My old favorite, my go-to, Jim Beam Red Stag, Black Cherry Bourbon right here. Discovered it while I was deployed to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. This is my fave. You mix it with a little Dr. Pepper. I have not found anybody who thinks it's a bad drink or tastes bad. It's like drinking cherry Dr. Pepper, essentially. Not a ton in alcohol by volume, 32.5%, 65 proof. So not a heavy bourbon by any means. You can kind of see it's a light color here, but definitely has the cherry taste. Does have that fruitiness to it. Back 2010, 2011, you saw a ton of commercials for Red Stag. So that is the whiskey of the week. And speaking of that, I need to get in contact with Whiskey Valor. I was talking to them before I left. They're probably going to come on the show in the next month or so once I get back to them. They were supposed to be on today, actually, but scheduling conflict, he wasn't able to. So
before you transition to your honeymoon antics, got to give a little love to the Houston Astros. Obviously they're behind my background here. They have moved up to take over the American League West and are really kind of running away with it. Seattle's trying to keep up, the Angels and Rangers, but they are all the Mariners are 7 games back. Angels and Rangers are 8 games back. And this was something I don't think a lot of people were looking at the Astros to be able to do with all the changes and position changes they've had. And then obviously star players going to other teams. So got to give a little love to them. Taking that over.
I will not give any love to the Astros.
Okay, whatever, man. But
by the way, you should
I'm giving the love to the Stros.
You have the 2007 Astros logo. You should at least get like a modern day. They don't use those colors anymore.
You know what? It's fine. I like it.
You're living in Jeff Bagwell days.
Okay, folks. This is Can we see your left arm? When you're talking about old ass logos, can we see your tattoo on your left arm?
Logo they never used. They never used it. You can't say I have an old logo on my.
So whatever.
So
it looks like a Volkswagen. It looks like a Volkswagen emblem. That's why they didn't use it, because they didn't want it to be the Dallas Volkswagens.
You're an asshole.
So
jerk. All right. No, it's a concept symbol given to me by Keith Grant, the former assistant general manager of the Dallas Mavericks, my freshman year of high school, when I interviewed him for a project, and it was a concept symbol they never used with the Dallas Mavericks. So I'm probably the only one who still knows about it because it's probably put in the archives. It is a M, not a V or a W, as the ball-headed bullshitter
why
next
can't
to
we
me.
see
like
it? Show it to us.
It's been on camera before. Go check our highlight videos. All right, we ain't got time for that. Coach J. Kidd was not able to make it in tonight, so we will bring him in next week to talk about the first week with Cooper Flag. And we will also have good old Sir George. Did I spot him at Buckingham Palace? Was it him or was it not? When I was in London. But before we get to London stories, first part of our trip, honeymoon adventures. First time I went on a cruise. You've been on a cruise before, right?
Yeah, so I have more sea time than.
I'm not talking Navy. I'm talking like a pleasure, for recreation, not a fucking aircraft carrier.
Hey, that was my recreation, Mister.
No, it wasn't.
Mr. Landlover.
You've been to an actual cruise. Just say you have.
Yes, I've been to an actual cruise.
Oh my God. Never mind. You know what? I don't want him to hear these stories. It's fine. All right. Just know we had a good time. I'll give you all the London stuff and the Paris stuff next week. Greece stories, you get none.
Oh, no, we got to hear about Paris. You almost got arrested in Paris.
I didn't almost get arrested in Paris. We'll save that for next week. You got to leave the folks wanting more.
And you're sure you want to save that for next week? Because I think I may have to bring on a Inspector Clouseau to talk to you about this, because I think you are wanted in Paris.
You sound like there's diarrhea coming out of your mouth. All right. So, hey, Paris.
You listen to diarrhea coming out of people?
It sounds like diarrhea coming out of your mouth. Okay, don't try to say this is the scene from Happy Gilmore with Shooter McGavin, because it's not. Don't try to twist it, because it doesn't work in your favor. Listen, this
You
is all I'll
listen
say.
to people diarrhea. Okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah, I'm listening to you every time we do the show. It sounds like diarrhea across from me. Bunch of shit coming out over there.
So much respect.
All I'll say is, hey, I'm probably not going to win any fans in France, or not France. I can't condemn France, but Paris, fuck you. All right, f you, Parisians, and I'll give the background next week on that. Why I say f Paris, because I don't like y'all. I may go back one more time to go to the Louvre just to see some cool art that y'all aren't responsible for anymore. Because no, Lord knows all y'all know how to be is rude and stupid. So yeah. Anyways, first part of the honeymoon, cruise ship around the Greek Isles. This is my Mykonos shirt. Santorini was awesome. Bonjum, Turkey was awesome. Rhodes, Greece was awesome. Athens was awesome. Mykonos was all right. It's more of the party island. That's not really our scene anymore at this point in our lives. But met some cool people on the cruise. Shout out to Taylor. I actually met him and his wife. He works for the Sacramento Kings. So he, never know. You might see a job application with my name coming through on it. But yeah, it was a great time. My first cruise ever. I was surprised they only had one pool. That was a little disappointing. But going out seeing the sights around Greece was awesome. The people of Greece were incredible. The food was amazing. Having the I think it's Jimmy's Euros at on Mykonos actually was probably the best meal I had the entire trip. So yeah, but I'll give you all the Paris, London stories next week when we talk to Sir George, and apparently
I just have one question. Did you feel at home in Turkey?
No, but the food was good.
Because you are a jive turkey. So
Oh,
I just wanted to ask if you felt at home. So
no, Turkey was cool. People say we have a lot of national pride and we fly flags everywhere. Turkey may have us beat because there was Turkish flags everywhere. But yeah, I'm kind of glad we got home. We did. I saw like people were striking in Paris, protesting like tourists, like you couldn't get into the Louvre to see the paintings, and so we went to Palace of Versailles and all that stuff. But like I said, I'll give you my assessment on the second half of the trip. That's the more entertaining part of it. But let's just say
you almost got sent to jail in France.
And well, it happens. French people are douche canoes.
You broke the law.
I didn't break the law. That stupid ass rule. All right, folks. Well, we're going to end it. We appreciate y'all sticking around for the hour and a half we've been here. Hopefully, probably going to be some more trades in the NBA in the next week. Maybe get a little new status on training camp for the Cowboys, and we'll delve deeper into in Major League Baseball next week, and we'll see if the Stars make any more moves. So we thank y'all. Last night was the biggest show of network history. By the way, we did our NBA draft show. Me, Dustin, and Dom were the ones who showed up. Philly squad ducked another network show. And I don't hold the new folks accountable too much yet. So I still hold the title of network MVP. We had a steady between 530 and 600 people watching the show. It was pretty awesome. So if you are watching now and you were watching last night, thank you for tuning in 2 nights in a row. Catch us every Thursday at 7 p.m. And then catch the highlights on the socials. So
And I think you're going to be solo next week, actually, just so you know.
Solo?
I think
Where are you going?
We're going to RV park to celebrate the 4th.
Yeah, I'm not
So,
doing anything. I'm normally in Colorado, but that trip can't swing it with after paying for the honeymoon, wedding, and all that jazz. So
Yep.
my Colorado peeps will be back next year. Me, Casper, and Linda, if she's, we're trying that process of trying to give you another grandbaby. So trying to start that up.
Till next time.
Wow, no acknowledgement on that at all. So, all right. All right. Peace. Love y'all.
Good
We're
night.
out of here.